everyone, welcome back. Today I want to tell you about another one of my favorite picture book authors. His name is Michael Ian Black. Now, Michael Ian Black is an actor and he's a comedian, but he's also a super funny writer. And as you might have guessed from previous videos, I really like funny books, and his books always make me laugh. The very first book that I read of Michael Ian Black's was called Chicken Cheeks. And I laughed a lot because that book is not about these cheeks, but I'm going to let you read that book to figure out what that one's about. I also read another funny book he wrote called The Purple Kangaroo. And then there's a book called A Pig Parade. That's very good. And then he wrote this book right here, I'm Bored. And this one is probably one of my top favorite Michael Ian Black books. He wrote the words, and the illustrations, the pictures are done by a very super nice lady that I've had the opportunity to meet once. Her name is Debbie Ridpath-Owie. So she did the pictures, Michael Ian Black wrote the words, and this book is about this little girl right here. And she is bored. Have you ever been bored? She is. She is bored, until she finds a talking potato. But you have to read the book to find out if she stays bored or not. It's a really good book. And Michael Ian Black and Debbie Ridpath-Owie, they wrote a few different books with these characters in it. They also wrote one called I'm Worried, and then a book called I'm Sad. And they also wrote another book together that has nothing to do with the little girl and the potato, and it's called Naked! And that one's a really good book, too. It's super duper silly. If you've ever had a little kid that lives in your house, this book might be considered non-fiction, which means true. But this book is definitely fiction. And this is the one I want to talk to you guys about today. Because I thought what would be a fun activity for us to do is if we had some fun with a potato. Now, we can't do the stuff that the little girl does with the potato because we don't have potatoes that talk. But I want to show you how you can use a potato to make some art. Okay, here's what we need. So we are going to have some fun with a potato. Now, like I said, our potato doesn't talk like the one in the book, I'm Bored. So we have to come up with something else fun to do with our potato. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna make art. Now, we're going to use this potato to make potato prints. Not prints like the son of a king and a queen, but prints as in like printing something. Now, here's what you're gonna need. A potato, of course. You will also need some paper. You will want to get some paint. I like acrylic or tempera paint. Both can stain clothes, so be very careful or have a grown-up tell you what to do with that. And you can use whatever colors you want. You will also need a paintbrush and a cup of water to clean off your paintbrush and a towel to clean off your paintbrush you just cleaned in the cup of water. You will also need a paper towel. And I recommend using a paper plate to put your paint on when you dip your brush into it. That way you're not trying to squirt paint onto a brush. The last thing you will need is you either need a plastic knife, like the kind you get at restaurants or maybe at the store. You also could use big, fat paper clips if you wanted. So that's what you need. Let me show you what to do. Your first step requires a grown-up's help. You need to take your potato and cut it into big, thick slices. You could just slice it in half if you wanted, or have them slice it into big, thick slices. So let's do that right now. Just like that. We can get rid of the two little end pieces. We don't need these anymore. Now we are going to put a design on the big piece of the potato that we can see. There is two ways you can do this. You can either draw a design on your piece of paper and then transfer over using a paper clip. I'll show you that one in a second. Or you can just take your plastic knife or your paper clips and you can start making your design right on your potato. Now the way that prints work is the part that is sticking up higher is going to have paint on it, and what is down lower will not have paint on it. So if we say wanted to make a star, we would simply cut a star into our potato. Once you have it etched out, the paper clip does a really good job of acting like a scoop, and you can just scoop away the sections you don't want. Once you have your design scraped away, The next thing you want to do is dry off your potato because it will be nice and wet. That is where our paper towel comes in. We're going to take the paper towel and we're going to pat the moisture off of our potato. Now, just so you grown-ups know, the paper clip scraping actually is pretty easy, and I even think some little guys would have no problem doing that. The plastic utensils, they're kind of hard in my opinion, but I wanted you to know that a lot of people use these. They are kind of nice for drawing the design in there, but honestly, you could open up a paper clip and draw your design in and then scrape it away the way we did just fine. So once you have your potato dried off, here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna clean my mess up. Now that our mess is cleaned up, we take our potato and our paint, and we will put a little bit of paint on our brush and paint our potato, the part that is raised up. And don't worry if you get some down on the lower parts because it is not going to make the print. Once you've got your paint on there, then just have the little guys take it, turn it around, and put it on the paper. And press straight down, press really hard as you can, and then lift up. And you are making art with a potato. Now, if you've got bigger kids at home and want to try something a little bit more elaborate, like I said, you could open up the paper clip and actually poke holes and make a little bit more intricate design if you want. And if you want to do something really fun with your pre-K kids, is if the mom and dad, you want to make your own set of potato letters. You could make out each of the letters in the child's name and then have them practice stamping it. But be aware, if you are going to do that, it's going to print in reverse. Some letters, that won't matter. Others, it will matter a lot. So remember, you have to do it backwards for the print to come out the right way. But this is a really fun art project that people of all ages can do. Our littles might need a little help, but they will love stamping and making their own pictures. Guys, I hope you had fun. I will see you next time. In each video in this series, we're going to take a minute or so to teach you a pre-reading skill that you can use with your child to help them grow into becoming a lifelong reader. Now, don't worry, they're not overly complicated. They're simple things that you can do that will really help your child. Tell stories. In the video where I discussed narrative skills, we talked about storytelling and having your child tell stories and retell stories and using the text in a book to make a predictive story about what's happening next. But one of my favorite ways to help your child build their narrative skills is through imaginative play. Letting your kids play pretend, because what they're really doing when they're pretending to be a doctor or they're pretending to be a firefighter, or they're telling their own stories. Now, during that imaginative play, if you can join in and be a part of that story, fantastic. But sometimes the kids don't want you to be a part of their story. They're playing by themselves, and that's all right too. But more importantly, ask them when they're done playing what happened in their story. What were they doing with that imaginative play? Because imagination is a wonderful way to tell stories and to build those narrative skills.